Hello, everybody. Thank you for attending my session. I was the Global Head of Programmatic Solutions at Havas Group. I left a couple of months ago to build my own company with over 15, actually 20 years of brand technology and agency experience. I can tell you a few stories what needs to change in our business in order to be successful. So I think personally, you see all these great people in advertising business. I think we have a problem, right? We're in a turbulence time. We need to reinvent advertising, since we only solve challenges in advertising in a silo, from content distribution to activation in general. And this causes a distrust from the brand side up to the publisher side. And most of the companies I talk to, it's funnily, I advise brands, I advise a lot of tech companies. We want to do advertising, but we don't understand why we want to do advertising. So it's all about purpose, right? Purpose marketing. Most of the people the entities in the chain just try to solve a certain problem. If it's ad tech, a DSP, a publisher, and the brands, are confused because they don't know how to mix the right ingredients to be most efficient and successful with the strategies they built. So, most of the tech companies I talk to, for example, they know what they solve, but they don't know why they solve it, right? Then they don't understand what impact that solution will have in the chain of the ecosystem of advertising, which is really interesting when you talk to an engineer and a marketer at the same time. Different opinions. And my job is, for example, bringing them together to speak the same language. So, again, why do we do what we do? If I ask you, why do you work for an SSP? I say, well, it's great technology. If I ask a brand manager, why do you do advertising? Well, because we have money to spend. We want to do great things. But we lost, in the world of automation and data, the peak for creativity, right? What is advertising if it's not creative? Technology and data, right? From an activation perspective, yes, we can target the right audience if we're lucky, if we target the right audience. But do we message them right? Do we have the right frequency? Lots of questions. And since this business has grown so fast in the past 15 years, through data, automation, and everything, we have the challenge that we went from a practical business to a theoretical business, right? People sometimes just don't know what they talk about, unfortunately. Yeah, you don't believe me? I have examples, right? Number one, fact is, I live in London, right? And I might look young today, but I'm quite old. When I go in the tube, nobody talks to each other. If I would talk to somebody, they would run away. Please don't mug me, please. I have no money, right? So in my time, it was normal to speak to people on the street. Now everybody runs like this, right? Communicating with their fake profiles with other people. Which means, that the perception of media has changed. The perception, how we communicate with each other, has changed with the generations. My first phone, right? If you look at these generations, my first phone was a bag. But people look at me, what? Yes. Hoping that people will call us because it was so expensive to get a call. So we were just running around like maniacs, hoping that people would call us. So if you look, I'm unfortunately here. Most of you probably are here and here. How everything is changing, where we are focusing on text messages. I need to concentrate on one thing. If I look at my sister's generation, she's a multitasker. She can do many things at the same time, which brings a new challenge to advertising. If you think about attention rates and how I can keep the momentum of an ad. But before we go more into that, we need to explore how these young generations, change their habits in terms of, Netflix and YouTube are the best example in terms of the perception change. Nobody really watches TV anymore. Prescription, Netflix, Amazon, and more to come are, establishing themselves and making these channels big. Just to give you an idea how Facebook video and YouTube is growing till 2023, how the share is growing. Sorry, I'm standing in front of the big numbers here. You can see that Facebook and Google take bigger shares from the broadcasters. Broadcasters do not understand how to monetize digital video yet. So a great, great opportunity for them. The most important question, though, is now we know that they are all, dancing on those channels. Still one question, right? How do we make people care about advertising? Because I see ads, 300 by 250. I know my kids don't see any ads. They think they're noisy. They think they are a pain in the ass. What's recorded, right? Fine, I say it. It's okay. So what we in advertising most likely always do, and I work for agencies, I work for Google, I work for DoubleClick, I work for these big brands, we overpromise. And what we deliver is something completely different. And this is either way, lack of education, it can be lack of communication, preference of some technologies or agencies, can be many, many factors, right? So what we most likely do, we sell this. This is a German hip-hop band. Sorry, I didn't find it. Right? And the outcome is this.
Schau mal, Osama, dein Handy. Arschlochschorsch, sein Panzer.
Thank God you don't understand
Hinter
that.
dem Spender,
Right?
Samstag.
So it's
Pot.
completely shit, right? So we need to change the way we sell and think what is possible with the ingredients we have from data and content. So first thing is, do Generation Y and Z perceive media the same way? No. For them, it's a lifestyle. For me, media is, I brought programmatic with Google to Europe, right? So for me, it's a tool I use, and it's not necessarily a lifestyle. I'm not addicted to social media, and I'll be honest with you, some of the channels I start not to understand, which is terrible. But we need to take these generations seriously, because millennials, they have a spending power not of $600, of $600 billion, which we have to take seriously, because the way we approach them today is ineffective. So, why is it ineffective? Who of you knows this movie? All right, okay. Did anybody of you see the second part? I guess yes. All right, so Disney brought this movie, Ralph Breaks the Internet. Very funny, you should watch it. The second piece, or the second trial, shows a few sequences to children, right? Because children watch this. You're not a child. How advertising is today. So watch this, and then we can discuss what you think.
We are online. Wow, look at all this stuff.
Search bar. What can I help you find today? Umbrella, umbrage, umami.
No.
Noah's Ark, no doubt. Nordstrom Rack. Ergonomics, Urban Outfitters, cool.
I'm pretty sure he's just trying to guess what you're gonna say.
My autofill is a touch aggressive today.
Congratulations, you're a winner!
Really?
These 10 child stars went to prison. Number 6 will amaze you.
That sounds interesting.
Ralph, come on!
Redirecting to eBay.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next item up, a black velvet painting of a sorrowful kitten.
It's like it's looking into my soul.
Yeah, that one's really gonna haunt me for a while.
Get my geek on.
Get rid of belly fat using this one weird trick.
Sassy housewives want to meet you. They do. Want to get rich playing video games?
It is funny, yes, but this is worrying. If you think about it, we tell the new generation that what we do today is terrible, right? It is funny, but it's really worrying. And knowing that this is happening, we still don't change anything. You know, let's look at, influencer marketing. So the companies I work for, they now understand how important that gets. That influencers have an impact on people, right? What is it? 18% of influencers have an impact, the majority to the 16 to 24s, buying products. This is crazy. I mean, look at this example. This woman says she loves this shoe more than her boyfriend, right? And she kisses. Of course, you get negative, posts as well. But I would never buy the product. Funnily, though, if you think about that, if you can measure this direct approach might have a bigger and more scalable impact than just running 100 million impressions on a publisher site. And it's much cheaper. So, speaking of loyalty, with the new generations being influenced by influencer or impacted, I think personally, and I know that loyalty has disappeared. People are influenced constantly. The average impact or influence on ads per day, we get approached with around 700 ads. We don't actively see, but we get basically in front of our eyes. So, if influencers have an impact, they can put you left and right. We saw that in politics, right? It works in social. So nobody is loyal anymore. With loyalty, buy a dog. I wouldn't get a cat because the cat runs away at some point. So, let's look at other channels. Social commerce is getting big, right? Snapchat tried to partner with Amazon, from a GAFA perspective, to go against Google and Facebook. Testing it, but they're not far. Instagram is very close to launch this and make this profitable. So, as somebody who is connected to stars or influencers, I can buy the products right away from any store, and I can commission as a brand the people who wear the clothes, right? The stars. Another channel that is very interesting. Last year I had to do a cook show where I was interviewed. Live video is targeting niche audiences where you can have micro audiences talk about a certain topic and then advertise them as well, which was very difficult cooking and getting very tough questions. And at the end, it's all about the engagement, entertainment, and experience, right? If you look at this example, sound please. Right? These guys had a VR cam on, and they gave them the experience that they're really in a roller coaster, right? I'm not gonna run this to the end because somebody really puked on this. It's all about experience, guys. All about experience and storytelling. Again, this is just a channel, right? We say now, oh yeah, we need to have the right experience on the channel. How do I solve this holistically? Somebody has a solution, please come to me and tell me so we can become rich. Because not even Google has that solution yet. So CMOs who are focused on hyper-relevant customer experience, they will win. And not many are yet. Because not everyone understands the ecosystem. They understand marketing, yes, but they don't know how to apply marketing in a way that is bringing a scalable and a measurable return on investment. We should focus as well on new channels. I don't know how much you know about in-game advertising. There's a quite new, interesting way to approach advertising. If you think about how many seconds you engage with websites compared to 2.5 hours playing games every day on average, I can advertise the crap out of people, and they wouldn't even see it, but they would be influenced. If you make this engageable, there's a big business behind that. And, the big game companies are investing into that. Or if you look into car media, nobody thinks about car media yet. Self-driving cars. What am I going to do one day when I sit in my car and my car drives me to work? I will be bombarded by media left and right. And I will have, at the end, it's all about the value exchange I get for doing that. So we're going away from, things we own to a service-led world where, Uber, Tesla, Google, Facebook, Amazon are ruling the service world. So we need to adapt the way we approach people there. If you don't do this right, we annoy them. The best example is ad blocking. Ad blocking went to a certain point, is stabilized at the moment, is not growing, funnily, but it got a big damage. It brought a big damage to the industry. When you relate this to GDPR that came to Europe. These companies are investing a lot of money in the future. Voice, we're going to talk about this in a second. If you think about, let's look at these investments these guys did and will do. This is the German Internet Index compared to the Baidu Index. And let's look at GAFA, 2,915 billion US dollars, right? They're far ahead. And China already overruled us, which is crazy, right? The US is heavily investing into voice. Voice is the new opportunity. But how do we monetize that, right? At the moment, only Amazon and Google can monetize that if they want. Well, they're on the best way, right? How do we make it effective? How do they keep in the range of privacy? And China, for example, is investing heavily in AI. There are already over 10 unicorn companies growing and moving to the West. So, all of these solutions, again, are parts of solving something unique. But you always need the holistic view to understand the whole ecosystem. Obviously, by 2020, there's supposed to be over 20 billion devices connected. It's all about connectivity, sharing your ID, getting value back, and leading that to commerce. Amazon, with their shop they launched in the States, Alibaba did the same in Shanghai. How would a programmatic commerce look? So I bring you an example. This is Vlad. Vlad is a big fan of me. He has a picture in his bedroom, whatever he does, right? His phone tells him that his coffee machine is broke. And telling him, don't worry, buddy, don't worry. I contacted the engineers. By the way, you ran out of coffee. Everything is ordered, so don't worry, sleep. Vlad gets to his fridge. His fridge tells him, you're missing some ingredients for tonight's cooking. It's like, don't worry about it. I will add it to the grocery list. Bam, goes to the phone. From a diversity perspective, it could have been a man too holding the phone with the grocery list. So Vlad drives to work, and his second wife, the digital assistant, tells him that his son's birthday is coming up. Why don't you buy him a water pistol? Don't worry about it. I'm going to add it to the grocery list, and it will be delivered. So Vlad parks his car anywhere. Delivery service comes, gets a unique PIN, opens the car, puts the groceries in, and that's it. This is tested, for example, in the Nordics. Volvo tested that in Norway, and it works. But in order to do that, this is what is possible with technology today, already today. But let me show you where we are. Actually, we are here. This is the old model. What are we trying to do? We inform people, then we try to persuade them. If they still didn't click on the ad, we remind the crap out of them. Buy this product, buy this product, buy this product, buy this product, blocked, right? Or, we try to, I came from Spain, from a different conference, and on the plane, you already have these tax-free products, and they said to me, today it's 20% off, right? And you sit there and say, I don't need anything, but 20%, come on. I was strong this time. But that's how we sell, We don't do advertising meaningful. And this is how it should be. What? Demonstrating, involving, and empowering. That's how influencer marketing works, for example. Right? So we need to go away. We need to go away from the traditional marketing funnel. I have no problem with this funnel, right? But this is history. This funnel, this is what you learn in university, first semester. This is how you have awareness, you go to advocacy, and that's where you're supposed to sell, right? But actually, for me, the funnel is a snake game. Every time you try to reach somebody, that person jumps somewhere else, to a different channel. But think one step ahead, right? That person not only jumps to a different channel, he jumps to different devices as well. Think one step ahead. That person not only jumps to different channels and devices, his attention rate is split. Looks at his phone, watches a movie, watches TV at the same time. I couldn't do it, but Generation Z is doing that definitely. And we are at the stage where we over and over expose people. People start hating advertising. I don't know how it is in this country, but an overloaded experience is no experience. It's like eating too much chocolate. At one point, you can't eat it anymore. Or it's like drinking too much alcohol, right? You're wasted, you lie on the ground, you don't want to do this again because you have a huge headache the next morning. In order to make a change, we need to understand what programmatic actually is. I hear so many different versions. When I came, we brought programmatic to Europe, and I went to my first agency. The perception of programmatic is so different, Sometimes because of lack of knowledge, sometimes lack of development or education, most likely based on the business models that are shared in the company. Programmatic is everything, right? It's search, it's social, it's display, out of home. Anything that can be automated with data is programmatic. The way we apply it, though, in the companies we work for always differs, right? You have different business models. You cannot plan holistically. You cannot merge. But from a technology perspective, I can guarantee you it's possible. So we need to overthink our core values, right? What we have done the past 10 years, we put a complex model or ecosystem on top of a simple idea. When I started to study media technology and I had to code for the first time, my professor said to me, Hossein, you think too complex. You work now in the most primitive business of the world because coding, you need to tell exactly what you want. And this is how our business works as well. Yes, no, 0, 1, if, else, on, off, request, response. This is how you serve an ad. This is how you build a taxonomy to collect data. That cannot be complicated. So, if you understand that principle, programmatic should be easy because everything else is based on that. The possibilities make it complex. So, if you understand the core values, we need to learn how to get away from these channels. We plan channels because we are taught to plan channels, because of P&Ls, because of the way our companies are built. But what we need to do is we need to, come on, we need to plan an experience, right? That's where we should start. What do we want to achieve? What story do you want to tell? Instead of saying, okay, here's my media plan, bam, 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 you get this, you get this, you get this, And everybody has his KPIs, and everybody tries to reach them to get the money in his P&L. No good. Because it's all about the consumer. The consumers who I mentioned are not loyal. You do the wrong strategy. If you overexpose, you will lose them. You will damage your brand. And that's what you don't want. So there are new topics, new buzzwords, right? We are bringing into our ecosystem, right? We talk about, I don't know how far you guys are here, we talk about data science, how important that is next to collecting data. But now we talk about behavioral science, right? Psychology, right? Behavioral science is 50% art and 50% science, BS doesn't mean bullshit, by the way. I was just too lazy to write this out. But, empowering creative processes to shape human behavior. That's the way to go, right? Because what we do today, you go, you see a product, you go on the website, and then we retarget. That's no influence. So, I'll give you an example how Starbucks does it, for example. In Starbucks, you go in, you don't have cups like small, medium, big. You have tall, grande, and venti, right? And then they ask for your name. So you have this personalized experience. The same, so it's pure psychology. It's the same when somebody wants to sell an electronic product, for example. You put two products next to each other. One is $150, one is $250. But you want to sell the one for $250. What do? You get a more expensive product next to it for $400. Everybody will buy the one for $200 because I get best of both. Not too expensive and not too cheap. Pure psychology. We cannot get anywhere if we don't invest into people. It's all about people. I am a strong believer in technology, but you don't want a machine only driving your car. Empathy and ambition comes from a human being. Talent is the biggest challenge we have globally. I don't think there's a lack of talent. I personally think we need to change the way we manage our companies because, as I said, the perception of media has changed, but the way we operate in our businesses has not changed. Still top down. I'm your boss, you do what I tell you. But the kids from today, what they say? I quit, right? And then they go and build Snapchat, Facebook, all these companies. And we lose them because we're not able to fit them into a new work culture, which we need to adapt to. So I think, in our world, in the programmatic world, we have taken too much power away from the planner and the strategist. The composer and the conductor, right? The strategist who's the composer, the conductor who's the planner, they need to have more light through programmatic, through the trading desk. They need to be able to optimize. They need to be able to build a story and then go from high level to the channels. But, with all these possibilities in advertising, now we've seen that brands are trying to in-house programmatic. I have not having a discussion yet how it is in the Ukraine, but brands globally are in-housing. There are various models, like you have the agency trading desk, which is the traditional way, the hybrid model where the brand is basically licensing the tech, and of course the in-house trading desk. I think, if you in-house strategy, in-house storytelling, but let the specialist activate. You don't want to have that responsibility. And you always need to be up to date. If most of the brands that in-house usually work with one technology, it's not good enough. So, how can tomorrow look, for example? Today, we partially work decentralized, or agencies or tech companies, or we work centralized. Is that effective? Yeah, a centralized approach is effective. You know, you have one hub that coordinates globally all the countries. I think the future, though, is a hub model where you make everybody responsible, right? You bring Googlers, Facebookers, agency, creative people on one table, and then you work together on one KPI, right? And nobody can be blamed because everybody's responsible at the same time. And this would be the in-house model, where we would bring people into the company paid on a manpower day. In order to achieve that, you know, it's a lot to take in. That needs to happen from the top level. You know, it needs to be lived, and that culture needs to be lived down to the lowest level in the company. In order to get to that transformation, you know, you need creativity. The most important thing, you need to redefine your processes, not only in advertising, and you need to be outcome driven. We are not there yet. I tell you, from a global perspective, we're not there yet. We say we are, but we're not. And to give you a peek how the future could look, as I mentioned, it's all about connectivity. It's all about value, right? Which data can I give you? What do I get back for that? Generation Z is well aware of the value of their own data. They know that if they give something, they want something back. As I showed you before, the investments of Google, of GAFA into technology is tremendous, especially in lenses. And that's where, you know, one day the matrix and the real world will merge, and we're closer than you think. This video I'm going to show you now is from an artist, and the future could like that. It's scary. Do you have the sound up? Good. Enjoy it. And maybe you tell me afterwards what you think.
Nice. Fantastic. Great. Nice. Great.
Vas tarde. Apúrate si quieres una buena calificación.
Voy lo más rápido que puedo.
¿Has pensado en correr? Es saludable y eficiente.
Seguro que no hay más trabajos disponibles. Yo estudié para ser profesora y estoy haciendo mercados.
Y además puedes quedarte con los puntos de fidelización. Eres una monje afortunada. Tienes que confiar en la aplicación. ¿Te sientes inspirada? Gracias. Chao.
Bueno. Hola otra vez. Ay, no, cállate. ¿Qué está pasando?
Buen día, Emilio. ¿Qué puedo hacer por usted?
¿Qué está pasando? Mis puntos están bien.
No se preocupe. Sus puntos están seguros conmigo. ¿Le puedo ayudar en algo más, Emilio?
Yo no soy Emilio. Yo soy Juliana Restrepo.
Por favor, espere.
Hola, Juliana Restrepo. Me alegra verte. ¿Qué puedo hacer por ti?
Mis puntos están bien. ¿Qué está pasando?
Tranquila, todo está bien. Parece que alguien está intentando vulnerar su cuenta. Por favor, espere mientras reinicio su dispositivo.
in the future, your wife might be blonde, but you can have her in a different hair color every day, right? And your children. We're very close to this, to be honest. It's possible. But you know, the question is, can you engage with so much media and so much overexposure? It would be astonishing if we could do this, you know, from our brain capacity today. I wouldn't be able to. I think it's personally it's scary because you know you would be in your own silo for the rest of your life, you know, and you would silo yourself from the real world. With that said, you know, always try to be innovative. Think not like there is a box. Think outside the box. Think like there's never been a box. You know, be disruptive. Question things. Don't always believe what people tell you if technology is a certain way. Always question it, because programmatic or data doesn't have a 100% solution. It's always the perspective and the experience you bring in how to solve that challenge. If you have any questions, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can follow me on Instagram. Thank you very much.